Hey everybody, and welcome to Side Character Quest. This episode is not a normal episode. This is going to be behind the scenes kind of stuff. If you're not into that, feel free to skip. Just spend the time that you would have spent listening to this. Spend it leaving a review for the show, or sending me a message to pass along to one of the players to say how cool you think they are. That sort of thing. Whatever. But yeah, Mason and I thought that we wanted to let that last episode just sort of end on its own merits and not bog it down with the post-show conversation with bloopers and things like that. So that's all going to be here. That's going to be living in this little bonus episode. It's very lightly edited, for us at least, so hopefully you don't mind all of the uhs and stutters and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, blemishes and all, you'll have a good time. I should also mention that just recently I guested on an actual play that's like Twin Peaks but better, The X-Files but worse, and Gravity Falls but exactly the same. It's called The Weird. I'll have a link to it in the show notes, but regardless, it's very good. And that tagline, listen, it's not accurate at all, but also it's weirdly accurate. So you should check it out. It's good. It's good. I went into this blind. They hadn't released any episodes yet, so I had to just go on faith that these folks would make something good. And I have since listened to the first, however many episodes are out at this point, but I have listened to them and I was like, whoa, wow, I'm glad that I am a part of this. It's good. It's good, and hopefully my episodes will also be good, and my episodes are coming out in a couple of days. And if you've listened to this much of this rambly intro, then surely you would like to listen to me get to be a player on like a fun little 90s conspiracy supernatural kind of game show. It's The Weird. Check it out. I'll have a link. Whatever. That's the important stuff. If you enjoyed this arc, please, let us know. Leave a review on whatever system you use. Shoot us a message on Twitter or by email saying, hey, liked it. Tell your friends. Wow, that's the most important part that I forgot right until the end. Tell your friends. And also, we're probably going to end up recording a questions episode at some point in the next few months. Probably, I don't know. Send us your questions. Just send anything that you would like us to answer on the show. Put side character questions in the subject line or in the Twitter or the tweet or whatever the heck, however you reach us. Do that, and I'll answer it on the show. All right. Normally when I start getting this voice, it means that I've stayed too long. So I've stayed way too long. I'm sorry about that. Let's get out of here. On with the show. I have changed to my standing desk to a sitting desk because this is post show, and I no longer need that good standing energy.
Do you want a separate file, or is this where's this going to exist?
This would presumably, so I assume you haven't listened to these because I put them at the end of an arc after the credits.
Oh,
generally, just a little bit of post-show conversation.
Yeah, because I told you how I'm shitty and I always skip to the next start of any next episode.
No, you're good. I think that a lot of people probably do that.
Damn, I wish well, now I have to go back. I didn't know you did these.
I don't do them all the time. There was a particular arc where we finished and then we forgot to stop recording and just ended up talking about our feelings about how it ended. And then I realized, oh, I really like this. I should do this at the end of every
as
arc.
A thing.
Yeah. But it's not a necessary thing, I feel, so that's why I don't really highlight it too much. Oh boy. Okay, so
I actually feel something.
Yeah?
You know what I mean? You know that feeling when you finish a book you like, or your favorite doctor in Doctor Who gets reincarnated as a new one, and you're like, I'm not gonna like this, I really like that, and now it's over. You know that emotional hole feeling?
Yeah, I feel it too.
I'm actually kind of feeling that about Talbotton, and I didn't expect to. Not that it wasn't like like a good fun story or anything. It's just that I was expecting to just be like, "Yep, that's it. It's over." Without feeling actually impacted, but I do emotionally feel slightly impacted on like a level I don't control.
Yeah,
I
feel shitty about it because like I feel especially shitty about this because like I know from fairly early on you told me that you wanted there to be the real possibility of consequences of like that of death.
I'm a big fan of that.
And I've known this from the beginning. With your arc that you really, really wanted me to be open to that. And yet I can't help the feeling of I could just make Talbotton not dead. Like I have the powers for that, and it's so hard to not do that because I want to see more of this person,
I want him to come clean about who he is to other people who matter to him. I want him to feel inspired and to write more and to publish more and to just exist more as this crotchety old hermit, but now with more stories to tell. Like the amount of poems and stories he could have written about this after having talked to these skeletons. Also, I think Talbotton feels a deep sense of kinship to these skeletons in a weird, twisted way. Even though it seems sudden, and part of that is definitely just me, Mason, imparting my feelings about them onto Talbotton without very much narrative justification. But Pard was speaking with them, Talbotton speaking with them, and what he did learn from lying and whatnot, I think does like. I think Talbotton at his heart is a good person and wants people to be good and happy and doesn't want harm to come to people. And for whatever they went through, even if they were somehow the architects of their current form, like if they are responsible for the fact that they are living as skeletons, I think Talbotton just thinks they're people who should live and should be able to tell their story. But they can't because people would reject them because they're scary, which is also how Talbotton has grown up.
This feels fucking tragic, dude.
You know what? Well, you know what the most tragic and shitty part is right before that ending speech, I rolled a 1 on Arcana.
And so
to set the sending stone to call out. So more than likely, nobody heard the message. Didn't get to Father Pard. Talbotton's final poem is lost forever. More than likely, nobody heard that. More than likely, that did not go to anybody. I heard voices. Who knows? And maybe it went to the elemental plane of farts. And like that is where Talbotton's final work exists.
I want to stress for anybody that is listening to this, we are recording this right after this has happened.
Yeah.
And I really, to be perfectly honest, in my heart of hearts, I did not see things like, even though I knew this was a possibility and I was structurally preparing myself, in my heart, I did not really feel that this was a thing that was going to happen. And I feel so bad about it. Like,
what, Talbotton's passing?
I think so, yeah. Like this just, recently there have been a couple of instances of people in the show who I feel were true villains, like true bad guys. But this is, I think, feels like the first time that there's been like a true tragedy.
It's interesting. There was something that, how do I phrase this?
Sorry, Eli. Saying that this is the first time there's been a tragedy.
Roderick was a villain because Roderick was a fundamentalist. So no, not sorry, Eli. I'm just kidding. I love Eli. Lore, but Lore is fine. So
yeah.
There's something, and this is a little bit meta-y, I guess. Well, I don't even know what the fuck I'm saying. I read something, I don't remember where, like it was a shitty source, but someone made a point that I thought was very poignant, which was, it was about making characters. And it was, if you want someone to really love a character, don't make them perfect. Like give them very glaring, obvious flaws. Make them not the best person.
Yeah.
And I like tried to do that. Like I tried to make Talbotton kind of a dick, kind of arrogant, uh, and kind of self-important and pretendy.
Mhm.
And I actually think it made me, I don't know, I can't speak for anyone listening or anyone else's gauge of the performance of the whole thing, but for me, it did make me kind of like him
Yeah.
because even though I don't think it was fully colored in the lines of this picture, I feel like Talbotton had his heart in the right place. And I do feel sad about his passing.
God.
And it does feel like a tragedy. And I think it's even more a tragedy because probably nobody heard the message. Especially, it's a tragedy for the world. I'm sorry to cut you off, but it's a tragedy for the world because there was so much buildup. That situation, that conversation gleaned so much more insight and information into these skeletons than I feel we've really had in the world of SCQ.
Yeah.
Even if it was still vague and not fully transparent, we gleaned a lot of insight into what was going on and where they stood and what their thoughts were, even maybe just to this sect of skeletons. And there was so much buildup that resulted in a death and the loss of that information, very likely.
Yeah.
Like, it's like when it would be like building a classic car from like parts and sourcing it from all over the place and spending hours and hours working up to it. And then on the first test drive, you wrap it around a fucking tree. Like you built it up and then it was gone. And because I failed to make the stone work for sure, it's likely gone completely.
I'm thinking about the people outside, the people in your group, Blue and George. And I'm thinking about what they would do in this situation because
the trip home.
Yeah. But also like Blue wouldn't accept that you were dead. He would try to find you. Like he would try to look. But the thing is, we said how deep this thing was. This was down. I said like no more than 50 feet. Like it had to have been at least 30 feet down. And like, I can't imagine how you would survive that. You know?
No. I can't either.
And I so want to come up with a bullshit narrative way to like keep you alive because I want to revisit this character. I had so much fun with him and like want to see where else he's going to go. And it just feels so devastating to me.
Well, I don't know about in the context of the show or in anything, but we didn't start when Talbotton was born.
That's true.
We've started very near the end of Talbotton's life in retrospect.
Yeah.
There was always that carriage ride with Blue that we glossed over.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think George would care because I'm just kind of bossy.
He did want the sending stone.
He did want the sending stone. So he'd care for that. At least,
with that in mind, I mean, because you guys did have a pretty good idea that the sending stone was somewhere down there, because that's where the trail had led. He might want to try to excavate and then presumably, they at least would find your body and have something to return to Pard.
Yeah. Oh, and Pard lost his brother, basically. The only other, I'm assuming the only other Brega tiefling he's ever known.
Yeah.
Probably one of the only people who knows what he is.
Fuck, man.
So, if Pard shows up in future arcs, that'll affect him, I would imagine.
Yeah. God damn.
And also, if I was Pard, I would be blaming myself. And I don't think he should. I'm not saying that he should because he shouldn't. But if I was that person, I would inevitably be like, this was my idea. I sent them down. I did this. So that's got to be emotionally tough for Pard.
Yeah.
We told a sad story, Ty.
We told a sad story. When did this happen?
There was a lot of goofs. There was a lot of jokes. There's a lot of funny parts, but I guess that's just kind of how life goes. Like, it's all funny and goofy, and then it's impossibly sad. And then eventually it's funny and goofy again.
The next arc that I plan on recording is going, I don't know that I doubt it'll be sad, but it is going to be relatively serious. And I'm thinking that because we're recording these like months in advance. I'm thinking I might want to. There's another one that I that is coming up that I will be recording later. That will be less serious, and I think I might want to shuffle the release of those.
Flip flop those two.
Flip flop those because this is dark.
I mean, if you looked at the pie chart though of like goofy versus depressing, this arc has been primarily goofy.
Yeah.
There've been a lot of hijinks and stupid stuff. And then it's just the very end of it. Leaves a pretty sad taste. But I had a lot of fun. And honestly, good. I like having a definitive end.
Yeah. What were ways that you thought this might have gone from the beginning? Like when I first introduced, let's cut. We just talked about a bunch of really sad stuff, our sad feelings about this. Let's talk about our other feelings, our non-sad feelings about the show. Where did you think when I first invited you on and you first said you were going to be Talbotton? Like, what were your thoughts for what might happen with the show? Like for the campaign?
Because I can't help but be meta, I guess. I was thinking about what narrative arcs we might explore in terms of like what might happen. And I thought for Talbotton, I was going to aim for sort of an arc of self-acceptance was something I had wanted to, or I had thought we might explore of like Talbotton has lived his whole life under this guise. You get the brief moment of being true to himself with Pard. And then I thought sort of Blue is a person who, you know, has blue skin because of all the colloidal silver that he drinks. And Blue embraces his odd appearance. Talbotton hides it. I thought we might get to explore like Talbotton coming to terms with being an oddity and expressing himself that way. And especially because Talbotton is a published author having the privilege to express himself honestly and still likely be accepted because everyone, you know, at least among the people who liked his work, like, oh, that's Talbotton. And oh my gosh, this is the thing about Talbotton. I'm not going to. Yeah, all that stuff. I thought that self-acceptance might be a bigger theme. I thought that we would go to Flughaven, fight some zombies or something, find the sending stone somewhere, give it to George. I was going to justify the choice of giving it to George as being like, it's still pretty far south, which is where, you know, skeletons were first spotted. It'd be a good place. The Salton Sea is a big destination. That would be a good, you know, we could get to him.
It's kind of useless to have the sending stone. I mean, as far as they're, you know, using it for communication, it doesn't make sense to have two of them in Cirque. Right.
And one's in Rena, one's in Cirque, one's in Salton Sea area, somewhere down there.
That would make sense.
That would make sense because they're pretty spread out. So I thought we'd explore, you know, what might happen with that, what might have happened to Flughaven, which we did explore that.
Yeah. Do you have any questions about things? Anything that's like still up in the air for you?
Oh God, yeah, but you're not going to be able to tell me any of it. So what's the point?
There have been some things that I have avoided telling you because I thought it might affect your decisions, but I think I might be comfortable telling you in hindsight.
Oh, I mean, most of my really burning questions have to do with the skeletons and where they're from and what they meant by the druidic focus. Like, did they make that stag, or like, where did the stag come from? I saw it in my dreams, so it must have been reaching out somehow. Did Talbotton, and for that matter, does Pard have a tie to this stag in some way? Are we the products of some kind of druidic intervention? Can you answer any of this?
I will say that. So are you the products of any druidic thing? You had asked me to have a few ideas of like terrible things that could happen to Pard, terrible ways that we could end the arc. And one of my ideas was, which you saw a bit of this, was that the Arcanist seeing you thinks that you've been affected by druidic magic in some way and wants to study you, and thus we end with, in some way, with him capturing you and then going off into the underground, and we know that you are going to be experimented on. And that would have been a really terrible thing to happen.
Yeah, that would have been a fate worse than death.
Some might say. Boy. So definitely some people would think that there would be some sort of connection there. I
See, I'm trying to think of, I've had a lot of questions. I'm trying to think of ones I had that you could answer. When I messed up in that conversation, it was because I was speaking like an alien pretending to be human, as you told me in our group chat afterwards. Because I was like, what did I say that was wrong when he rolled the 20 on the inside? And it was that,
oh, go ahead.
You said it was that I was saying things, asking questions about things I should know.
Yeah, and it was a combination. So every time we had rolled something, you had had a very tight, like he almost saw through your bullshit. And the thing is, you were always bullshitting your way, like being vague, as a way to get through, and that only could get you so far. And what you said, I don't remember exactly what it was off the top of my head. But whatever it was that you said wouldn't have been enough to put him on edge if he hadn't already been on edge. Like it was something that was just off enough, that
it would raise
red flags. I mean, the alien talking to a human thing, the example, like you sounded like a alien trying to pretend to be a human. It would be as if a alien was to say to me, "Oh, you want to go to McDonald's where they sell cow meat?"
Right.
Like,
right. Where it's like, yeah,
yes,
yeah, dude.
Yeah, cow meat.
Here's a question. Can you answer it? And here's the question to go with that question. Who did he think I was? Like, I don't even know what he thought I was or what I was pretending to be. That's how much I was clueless.
Sorry. Yeah. To clarify. So when he first sees you, he does not think that you are anything special. He thinks that you are, or rather, he thinks that you're something interesting and weird that he needs to study because you could have some relation to the stag, right? Because he is like, they have captured the stag. They have contained it in some way and presumably are using it for some purpose.
Oh, I set that fucking thing free.
And then he sees you, who also looks like a deer, and that is too big of a coincidence, is what he thinks. There must be some sort of connection, so he needs to examine you. Then you bullshit your way, stumble onto the one lie that would potentially put him off, which is you tell him that it worked and that you are the same thing as the stag. You are the stag if the stag had been successful.
You know, it's funny. When I said it worked, I was talking about because I had a conversation with Threep about building the wall to protect from whatever fucking God King thing. That's what I was lying about.
And that's why I was like, how have you pieced these things together, Mason? How did you do this? And
I did.
This is just an example of you being vague enough that that Query is filling in the gaps and getting an answer that is just like the idea that you were the result of a successful that you were a result of that ritual but successful is not. He could not pass that opportunity up. He needed to know more. You know.
How did you think this arc was going to go? Because a couple times you said you did not expect, especially going right into all of that, you didn't expect a lot.
There were a lot of things. One thing that's big is that I think could have allowed things to play out differently would be if you had oh God, there's so many things. I wasn't expecting you to have to try as much as you did to talk things through with Threep and like to get the opportunity to go down there as in a diplomatic way as opposed to in a combat or stealthy way. I thought that you were going to go in there either combat, stealthy, or maybe magical intimidation, something like that. I didn't think you were going to diplomat your way through, which is crazy talk because that's what we did the entire time.
Yeah.
Is like talk our way through things. I don't see things coming that should be obvious a lot of the times. Also, one thing that could have possibly resulted in things playing out differently was if you had looked around the room. So I mentioned multiple times that in that room with the stag, there were multiple doorways.
Yeah.
One of the doorways, you would have, if you had gone in there, you would have realized that area you were in, part of the place was collapsed due to a sinkhole, which had opened up underneath. And so this place was incredibly structurally unsound.
Oh, no.
But you didn't go over there, so you didn't find that out.
It's probably for the better, Ty, because I would have used Featherfall and just sunk my way down there.
And the purpose of that was so the stag is very, very strong, and I knew that you as a bard, without Blue, without anybody else, wouldn't have been able to handle that. My idea was that if you got into a confrontation with that and needed to fight it, one of your options that was going to be open to you would be collapsing this place down upon yourself.
Take the place down and the stag with it.
Yes.
Instead, I freed the fucking stag that broke Flughaven.
Yes. I thought that a strong possibility for yourself would have been, this is kind of what I was prepared for. This is kind of why I thought that you likely would end up not dying, would be, oh God, I just feel so bad about this. I thought that you were going to potentially bring the thing down and then escape into the tunnel, into the underground.
Ah.
Yeah, because that's how they arrived.
Yeah,
through that tunnel.
There's another way out. Yeah,
there's another way out. Or you were going to go up, but instead you tried to relay your final message.
What do you think would have happened if I'd gone up to Blue and George?
That is a really fucking good question, and I was a little panicked that you were going to, because I was like, I don't know what the end of the arc would be then. There wouldn't be like a button on it.
Did the stag brought the building down?
Yes.
Intentionally?
That's a complicated question. I think that it is fair to say, okay, so there's a few pieces that you have right now, right?
I let the stag out, so me and the stag are chill, but I'm dead now, so that doesn't matter.
There's a few pieces you have.
Oh, by the way.
Yes.
I thought it was me when you showed me the stag in the dream.
Oh, yeah. I've realized that at the time that you thought it was you.
Thought it was me.
And it was not.
Well, it turns out it kind of was, because I let it out.
Kind of was. Yeah. So the stag was the result of a ritual, right?
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's what he's saying. Like, he thought that you, based off of his interpretation of what you were saying, he thought that you were the result of a successful version of that ritual, right?
Oh, was the stag a Bregatone skeleton?
The stag was a person.
It was.
At one point.
Ah.
Which, that pieces together a few things for you, maybe.
These fucking skeletons think druids are the key, and they're just wrong every single time.
Uh-huh. I don't remember the lead-in of why I was explaining this.
Did the stag bring the building down intentionally?
Oh, did the stag bring the building down intentionally? Okay, so first of all, you know that the stag was one of those people, right?
Okay.
And if you've listened to the side story Echoes, you know what the internal experience is for the skeletons, which is...
Hi?
Yeah? What? He's putting his hands over his face.
I didn't get that.
Have you listened to that one?
Yeah, dude. I'm an idiot. I didn't piece that together.
You didn't get to piece together that was a skeleton?
No.
Yeah, that's why she didn't have any skin.
I read, oh my God. Yeah, but I read it. I read it because you sent me the written version.
Yeah.
And I don't know why the fuck I didn't think, I thought it was like, oh yeah, it's just an unrelated.
No, man. So
I'm stupid, dude. It's so obvious.
So the external experience of the skeletons is that when they were because I'm just gonna say this. I'm just gonna fucking say this because if you listen back to this, this will click with you, and so it will have presumably clicked with the listeners. But I just want to make it clear: the internal experience of the skeletons is that when they were resurrected, however that happened, they were just caught living a loop of just like going about their daily life. Whatever their daily life was, they just proceeded along with that. So if they were a child that went out and played every day, they were a child and they went out and played every day. If they worked at a store, they worked at a store every day and just went through the motions of doing that. If they were a soldier who would march a lot and obey orders, they kept marching a lot and obeying orders. And if they were a weird druidic focus that was tasked with doing something, with being like a protective guardian of a spot or location, they would just keep doing that. And when he was captured by Query, who had broken out of that cycle, which we talked about how he realized that he was undead, realized that he was,
Yeah.
So Query has captured the stag and imprisoned the stag. He has shot a fiery mote at the stag. The stag views him as a threat, and the stag uses all of its druidic magic to fucking bring the place down, expanding the tree that had grown up above and just like having its roots just crush everything. Including the stag. And that is probably, hey, here's a little tragic hero moment, a really fucking good thing. Because the stag's power, since it awoke, has been slowly building and building as it has focused more and more natural power, and has, you may recall from the second episode, the swamp and the plant, the vegetation from the swamp has been slowly encroaching on the surrounding landscape and moving farther and farther out, and it was gonna be a problem,
right?
Because the stag that Silas encountered in Silas's arc was not this strong. It was much weaker, but it has had several seasons to build up power.
Yeah, but that's such an alarming rate still.
Yeah. And here's one last
I still can't believe I didn't put together the fucking echoes thing. It's fucking right there. You wrote it at the very last line.
Yeah. Here's another thing that will also, if it hasn't clicked with you already, you're probably going to have a similar reaction to. Who else have we seen a ritual that has made them animalistic and so forth? Maureen.
Maureen? Oh, Maureen. Yeah. Oh,
from
yeah.
Alton's arc.
Yeah,
that is the
crab.
same ritual.
Yeah, that's what I just said. That they think druid's the key and they're wrong every time, because last time they made a crab. Yeah. This time they made a stag.
Exactly.
They're just making these powerful. Also, that crab's still there.
Yeah. You kind of wonder if this thing was becoming this powerful over the course of a year. Probably something needs to be done about Maureen sooner rather than later.
These skeletons, like Talbotton, need to accept who they are and stop trying to change it. Is that the overall message of SCQ?
I will say that who they are is very... have you ever watched Westworld?
No, but I'm culturally osmosed to some of it.
Well, for listeners who have watched Westworld, the experience of being one of these skeletal creatures is very similar to the experience of being one of the hosts, where you aren't like forming memories, and you're constantly at the risk of like falling back into one of those cycles. So you have to be,
Who did this to them?
It's a good question, man.
I think they did it.
All right, well, this episode this recording at least has gone like 2 hours and 15 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and we can cut this. If people have more questions, I'm sure we'll do a questions episode at some point. But at any rate, hey man, thanks. This has been fun.
Ty, thank you for architecting such a marvelous and varied arc and a wonderfully deep, confusing, and very well presented in the background overarching plot and such a deep, wonderful world. And thanks for letting me play it.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed having you on.
And now my dead corpse has to rot in some corner of your mind forever.
All right, man. Peace.
Bye.
Thanks to the Joy Drops for the use of Not Drunk as our intro and outro music. Find them at thejordrops.com. You can find us at sidecharacterquest.com, at SCQ Podcast on Twitter, or by email at sidecharacterquest@gmail.com.
The Scavengers Network.
Creator-driven.
Community-focused.
Treasured content.
Bye.
Diane, this is Agent Delaney. We finished investigating the howling waller beast of Bog Valley. Its venom sacs were paralytic, but it was a wonderful kisser. Diane, Agent Bishop thinks that psychic from Montana who tried to take over my body might have damaged the part of my brain that perceives time. Now I'm not sure if it's lunchtime or Tuesday. Diane, been watching that new show Friends very closely, and have determined that I might be a Phoebe. Agent Bishop is definitely a Monica. And Ross is a parasitic blood demon that the gang should exorcise immediately for their own safety.
Who are you talking to?
Don't worry about it, Monica.
You are aware there's no tape in that recorder, right?
No?
No, I took it out earlier,
Why are you touching my things?
It was a full tape. You've been doing this all day. What exactly are you doing, anyways?
I was just telling Diane about The Weird, an actual play audio drama that you can listen to at jointheweird.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
So we're doing a meta thing then. Okay, cool. I see what it is. I'm gonna go back to paperwork.
Yes, you do that. Such a Monica. Diane, I thought the goat man skull I keep in the office had started whispering.
This can all just be bloop stuff.
Piss bottle. Bus bitten. I made a
piss
mistake.
bottle.
I made a mistake in
I made a mistake.
a couple episodes where I said J.D. Talbotton instead of H.D. Talbotton.
Because it's like J.D. Salinger.
Exactly. Who is
Yes.
It's not, I can't say an inspiration because I'm familiar with J.D. Salinger because I'm not super familiar with J.D.
You're
Salinger.
familiar
but
with the idea of
Yes.
the reclusive, yeah.
yeah, the platonic ideal of J.D. Salinger, who spent a lot of time in New Hampshire, is something Talbotton was based off, and that's
Yes.
kind of where the HD comes from. But I done fucked up, and I think it was when I met several people.
Yes. At some point, you called him, when we were first talking about the idea, you presented his name as John Talbotton. And
that didn't help.
It didn't help. And so, like, that locked into my brain the sound John Talbotton, because I thought that's what you were going to call him for months.
Yeah.
And then when I actually asked you, what is his full name? You were like, Hector de Truce, nickname Talbotton. And I was like, whoa, boy. This is totally not what I thought.
Hector Dutrice.
Dutrice.
Talbotton.
What did I say?
You said Dutrice or something. I don't know.
Dutrice.
Hector
Dutrice.
Dutrice. Hector Dotrice.
Dotrice.
All right.
Hi,
How
it's
are we
me,
gonna?
Hector Dotrice.
I think. Oh, really quick, off
Yep.
the record. Cuts.
Nope.
There was something. I'm taking another sip of this whiskey. There was a bubble in my mouth when I did that. Oh God! And some of that went down the wrong pipe.
I'm so used to people not knowing shit. And I gotta say, that's something, if I ever do another campaign in another setting, I'm gonna make sure that people can actually know things instead of making it this world where every fucking thing is a mystery.
No, that's good though. That's very good. I've been trying very hard throughout all these. You don't have to leave this in, but I've been trying very hard throughout these recording sessions to not have to give you a long pause to cut out. But I might need to take a second right now and just think for like 20 seconds.
You would be the only person that has done that. So don't worry, except for maybe Eli, because Eli always has a fucking plan.
I know I'm trying to channel my inner Eli right now, but I've never talked to him, so I don't know him, so it's really hard.
Oh yeah, you haven't ever talked.
Hold on, I'm gonna message him.
Eli, help me.
I only am connected on Twitter because I don't know his real name. So what is his?
If
Twitter?
you want to do that, that would be really fucking funny, and I will totally allow it.
Sir Eli of the Pine.
Yes, Sir Eli of the Pine.
Okay, I've just messaged him. Eli, help! I'm trapped in SCQ, and Ty is gonna kill me.
Oh God.
Okay, I actually do need to think. I don't think this is going to be fruitful because I can't explain the whole thing to him because I also don't want spoilers.
Yeah.
Okay, Ty, this is me thinking. Most of the stuff I like. Is it true that most of what you've had to cut out from the editing you've done is bullshit babble and not silence?
For you?
For us, yeah, for you and me.
Now I have to get in the voice. This will be hot.
Up.
Oh, up, up, up. Well, I start like this, and then I go up, up, up.
Wasn't
up.
that old. Slightly less old.
Oh,
There we go.
oh,
That's it.
oh.
That's it.
What is he gonna do?
Something shitty, probably.
Oh, God. Okay. Hello. You have
Hey,
a scythe.
I have an appointment for Talbotton.
Yes. That's
Yeah,
a real fucking scythe.
yeah. It's our Madeline and I'm so excited. We haven't gotten a chance to use them yet because the grass hasn't grown yet, but we ordered scythes to take care of our field. Yeah. We haven't glued the handles on yet because want to, get ready, but yeah.
That's really cool.
Also makes for a good prop when your character's about to die.
Okay. They take 6 damage. But I'm not going to describe it like that. You run down this hallway. Sorry, there's like a weird effect going on with my voice, and I wanted to like see if I was hearing it. You hear I feel like there's like a slight buzz to my voice, but I don't know.
I don't hear it.
Okay.
Oh no!
That was the sound effect of the oil.
I knocked a cardboard tube with a thin lid over. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I need to sit down. Yeah, and I think I misread my own thing I wrote in my car the other day.
Gotcha.
In terms of like where emphasis should go.
Gotcha. Okay.
But it's 6 lines, 6 syllables each line.
Oh, that's fun.
I think. Is that what I ended up doing? We begin anew yet. Most imagine rebirth, majestic, beautiful. Learn to find beauty in darkness, dampness, fungus, and you will live forever. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 syllables, 6 lines. 6 seconds before Talbotton's death.
I think with that, let's go ahead and pitter-patter on out of here.
Well, I'm just going to, I guess, be slowly rolled out of here by somebody.
Roll.
Fuddle. The sound a rolling body makes. Pitter.